Okay, so I'm reading the Bible for the first time, and there's much to discuss because it's wild. This is Exodus part 2. If you want to see Exodus part 1 or Genesis, those are already posted. Basically, we pick up with Moses leading the Hebrews out of Egypt, and God essentially goes back to the Pharaoh and says, like, I'm going to make your heart hard, and I'm going to make you chase the Hebrews. And then he goes to Moses and says, tell all the Hebrews, time out here, we're going to stop by this sea and just camp. So then the Hebrews see all the Egyptians coming, and they're like, literally our life was fine. Like, we didn't love being slaves, but it was better than what we're doing now. Like, we don't get why you're doing all of this. And God is like, okay, hold up, I'm going to do a little trick for you. He basically set them up so he could, like, do this trick and save them, which is very toxic to me. So he parts the Red Sea, they go through it, and then they get to the other side, and the Egyptians are stuck in the sea. By Egyptians are gone for now, as far as I know. Then they get to the other side, and there's no food, there's no water, so they're starving, they're thirsty, they're like, this sucks, and they're starting to kind of close in on Moses. And Moses goes to God and is like, what the hell, I'm gonna get stoned. And God is like, okay, hold up. I'm going to go to the top of this mountain. Don't let anybody come. I'm kind of enlisting you as my bodyguard, but I'm going to come talk to everybody through, like, the mountain, okay? And this is where he gives the 10 Commandments. But then he kind of does, like, a hard left turn where he becomes an advocate for slavery in a really weird way, which I was confused about because this contradicted what we've just spent the first entire half of this book of Exodus going over, which is him saving people from slavery. But now he's saying, like, if you have a slave and your slave has kids and they're free to go, that's fine, but the slave's kids have to stay with the master. But if the slave wants to stay with his or her children, then they need to have their ear nailed into a post. And also, if you have a slave and you beat up your slave and your slave dies, then you need to die. But if you beat up your slave and your slave lives, it's fine, no harm, no foul, because they were pretty much your property all along. But if you knock out their eye or their tooth, then you need to be put to death. Like, what the fuck? Then he kind of goes into this, like, whole list of people that should die. He's like, if you curse at your mom, die. Curse at your dad, die. Hit your parents, die. If you're a witch, die. If you live with animals, die. If you even have an animal that you know is, like, a little bit naughty and they hurt somebody, die. So everybody's dying. And then he goes into a whole pricing structure on brides versus virgins. If you're not a virgin, but you're becoming a bride, if you're becoming a bride and you are a virgin, like, it was really top priority. It was top of the agenda for him to get this pricing structure in. We're like 45 pages into the Bible, and this is what we're going over. Then he goes to my favorite part, which is that we should not be charging interest when we loan people money. Hello, banks. I need to get on the phone with the CEO of Goldman Sachs and tell them what you are doing is not godly. It's not biblical. I'm putting you on notice right now. This 30% interest, these late payment fees, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Now we're getting into sprinkling blood on people as part of a covenant, sort of similar to the circumcision bit. And then God makes Aaron a priest and gets into an exhaustive list of everything we need to do to set up church for God. And this is, like, down to the way it needs to smell, the doorknobs, the way that your clothes need to be sewn, how many rings there need to be on the curtains. Like, my eyes were glazing over. But then we get to a really nasty part where he talks about how we need to sacrifice an ox and 2 rams in the church. And I thought I might give up at this point because it was making me nauseous. Like, it's about how we need to, like, what we need to do with their liver and their fat. And he says this really weird thing to Aaron where he's like, you and all your sons need to get the ram's blood, put it on the top of your right ear and let it drip down to the bottom of your right ear, and then put it on your thumb, and then put it on your big toe, and then walk around the altar in a specific way so that it sort of sprinkles everywhere. It's, like, very crazy. But then he throws in another addition to the death list, and he says also, if you work on Sabbath, die too. Then he goes to Moses and is like, you need to go around, you need to number everybody, and then you need to tell all of them that they owe me a little bit of money. I need a little bit of money right now. But at the same time, he's telling Moses, like, you need to get gold, you need to get myrrh, you need to get amethyst, you need to get cinnamon, like, you need to get all these nice things for me and my church, and you need to get money from all these people who just, like, went through all of this. They've been starving and hungry, but I need the funds. This part I don't really understand, so maybe somebody can break it down for me a little bit better. But Aaron and Moses tell all of the people that they need to take off their earrings and put them into the fire. And from what I read, it sounds like a golden calf came out of the fire. And all the Hebrews are like dancing, they're joyous, they're like, this is crazy, this is awesome, we love it. But this pisses God off. So Moses goes to God, and God is like, I'm about to unleash a wrath like you bitches have never seen. Like, honestly, I'm telling you, God is so Real Housewives coded. Like, I can't believe it. But he's like, I'm gonna make it rain hellfire. Like, you do not want the smoke. And Moses is sort of like, you're being a little bit kooky rookie right now. I need you to take a step back, look inwards. You're projecting a little bit, and just think about it. And God is like, okay, you're right. I've been a little bit too hasty. I'm going to chill. And then, but then Moses gets pissed. And Moses is like, how dare you guys do this? And Moses sort of goes to a place of it's me versus you. And is like, if you're with me, you're with me. If you're against me, you're out. Raise your hand now. And then he goes and kills everybody that says, like, we don't fuck with this. Which was 3,000 people of this group of people. And then we just sort of go back to, like, decorating the church. It's, like, 3 pages of just how we decorated the church the way that God wanted. So that's Exodus.